This is Euphoria Season 3, Episode 4. We are available on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, and also Spotify. Finally, the meme is dead. Admittedly, it took a while. If you're on YouTube, timestamps are in the description. Just click show more. And there's a couple bet updates before we introduce our lovely guests. Yamato dinner and karaoke, still happening. Still planning, still figuring that one out. The Frost Quickshot Tattoo, the Wonder Perfect Split, also happening. But this week we resolved the Froskeren judge bet on Ready Check, even if she wore the wig completely wrong. You didn't put it on your head.
I did put it on my head. It just fell off of my head.
Half-hearted. Anyway, your hair was still intact. That, to me, shows you didn't put enough effort in. Last bet was the SOAS ASMR, and we finished it. And it's wonderful. Let's take a look.
So, I'm here with SOAS. We're doing a Euphoria bet resolve. So as you just beat Fnatic, how did it feel to solo kill Bwipo?
It felt pretty amazing, honestly. It was a clean kill with the minion Demetalizer to get the level 6 and then flashing over the Q. In the end, we got the big advantage.
Really impressive stuff, Paul. Really clever. A tasty kill, to be certain. We are going to be ASMRing Vitality versus Origen team fights and highlights. What do you think of the compositions?
Pretty classic composition with Ezreal and versus Solution.
Oh, and now we get to see the Baron setup. I don't know what Mowgli's doing here. They seem to just be running around in circles.
Oh, great hook from Jack Le Troll.
Very intimate. Colt was not expecting this many people on top of him. Thank God for Black Shield. He almost ran it down there.
Oh no, the Siren. Oh no.
Oh no, Cabochard just feared 4 people.
Actually, Cabochard carried his fight alone, but Vitality is losing. What happened? Oh, I think Jisuke was not in the fight.
Oh no. Triple kill for Patrik. Has to feel really good for the Lucian.
Oh no, what is Mythi doing? Mythi.
Oh, he's back in NA. That's not what they want. And once again, how far he's just gonna die here on the Scion. Vitality. How do you feel about the Scion just running it down here, Paul?
I think it's pretty hard. Actually, I really dislike the Siren pick against LeBlanc Ezreal. You cannot do that much. You cannot engage on anyone besides Urgot, but they didn't have their wish to kill the Urgot ever, so. Oh, and we see the king.
Yeah, Yamato moving out. Looking fresh in the fur coat.
He's looking fantastic.
And if you had to make one really ASMR-y sound to describe this entire game, what would it be?
I need like sound samples. Like, can you make them for me? I'll just pick one.
I had the Galleon one where I said, Was it a lip smacking game, Paul?
What?
That was a tasty game from Vitality, to be sure.
Really tasty.
And that's it from us here at the Euphoria Bet Resolution team.
Cool. Our guests today are the 80 carry of Upset, the 80 carry of Schalke Upset. Hi, Upset. Welcome.
Hello.
And of course, the support of Splyce and Norskeren. Welcome to both of you. You had to play each other this week. Is it weird now, sitting next to each other? Is there any animosity, any rivalry?
Remember, we're a narrative-only broadcast.
You were
so
a narrative-only
please.
broadcast, so if you could just like
Lean into it.
say that you
I
hate him real quick.
Yeah, after he left Schalke, I just felt very disappointed and sad. So every time I beat him, I feel very happy.
Happened a bunch of times too. Quite sad, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Playing right into the script, exactly what we want to hear. Well,
We didn't tell them to color coordinate like this either. They
Yeah,
just
this
did
is
it
good.
themselves.
Red and blue.
So it all works out.
busting out the bathing ape.
The bathing ape.
And other things your mom would call fashion brands. So today we're going to be talking about Schalke and Splyce a little bit, and of course, mostly about bottom lane, as well as kind of an update on the league. So first question, Upset, if you could describe that Splyce game in like one sentence, tell me how you won. How would you do it?
Oh, in one sentence?
In one sentence.
I mean, I think enemy only knew 1 lane and we knew 3, so the game was quite easy because, yeah, there are more than just 1 lane in the game.
Norskeren, rebuttal?
One
I
sentence.
can do it in one word: disaster. That's, we'll bounce back. We learn a lot, I would say.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Always learn a lot.
What was atmosphere like after losing? Because the thing is like Schalke, no one saw coming, but should have probably looking at the roster. But Splyce people continue to like write you guys off. It feels like people like look at the league like, oh, right, Splyce are still here. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I really hate losing to Memento, especially in solo queue. But it's even worse when it's on stage. So
Does he like give you like a sly smile as he walks by and
I
like
mean,
shakes your hand?
I stole his dragon, so I guess he was kind of mad about that.
Oh, that's true.
That's what he.
I
But we,
actually forgot about that play. That play was super hype.
yeah, it's quite funny.
did you know the camera would be on you for the dab?
I wasn't. I mean,
There wasn't a dab.
was
He wasn't a
just
dab. No, he
Oh.
said in an interview that I did with him he wasn't going to dab anymore. Now this is that was 2018. It's
This is-
2019. Now he
this
just
is the new
brushes
move?
it off.
That's what we do,
2019 Norskeren, yeah.
This is the new hype. G2 remain undefeated in the league. Who do you think is going to be the first team to beat them? Now, Schalke is going to play him in, I think, week 6. So that's hype. Pull up the schedule.
Probably Griffin at Worlds, maybe. I'm not
Griffin
sure.
at Worlds.
They
You
might
think
just
it
have
goes
an
that
undefeated
far?
year, I think. I think they might never lose, actually.
I think they will lose a couple of games for sure.
Are you
they-
serious? How
they-
can they lose?
I mean, did you see my game versus them?
Yeah, sadly, I did see
Yeah, you sadly saw my game. But, like, ignore my score, but
No, yeah. I mean, they will lose eventually, for sure. It's best of 1, so...
So they face Vitality and Fnatic next week.
Oh,
And no sweat anything.
I think they won't lose versus these teams. I think... Yeah, I'm not sure how they will lose, actually. I mean, probably one early game will go bad, and then they just will lose a game, but I don't really see any team being stronger than them right now. So it's hard for me to see a team beating them.
What is it about them, like the intangibles? Like, why are they so scary?
Oh, I mean, I think Caps is like really, really, really insane, obviously. And I mean, all their players are really good, I think. Their bot lane is experimenting a bit and having some bad games, but they're still really good players, obviously. So even if they fall behind, it seems like they just all understand the game so well and are really creative that it's hard to beat them. But I mean, eventually they will obviously drop some games.
Norskeren, do you have that much faith in G2? I feel like they're going to lose
mean-
at some point. They're going to they've been so cocky. It's so greedy
they
in
are
some of
the
these
best.
plays.
They are the best team, of course, but it's best of 1. So I mean, I think they will for sure lose at least one game. But I like Upset said, it has to be like an early game mistake or something like that.
Or Reckless Tristana next week.
Yeah, Reckless
He will bring
Tristana,
it
they're
back.
gonna-
Reckless
they're gonna
Tristana.
gank bot.
Yeah, Reckless
Saturday
Tristana
next
must-
week.
Yeah,
That's
he
it.
brings it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
They draft 3 losing lanes, and this time they don't get 10k gold behind. That's going to be the secret for Fnatic.
Yeah.
Oh, big rip on Fnatic. We haven't talked to either of you guys or really your teams yet this season on EUphoria, so I'm curious a little bit about how the offseason went. Norskeren, I want to start with you because there was like a very hefty time period where I was convinced you weren't going to be back in the league, and I was like, wait, who are they signing if they're not signing Norskeren? Like, who are these people grabbing? Luckily, Splyce picked you up. What was that offseason like for you?
I was pretty rough. I mean, being in LCS and then finding out that you're not going to be in LCS anymore when it was your dream for a long time. But I don't know, I was quite lucky, I would say, that Splyce picked me up. They like barely signed another player, but they found out I was a free agent, I guess. I was almost signed to another team, but the deal didn't fall through. So I think, I'm just looking to work hard so that doesn't happen again because I don't want to be jobless. So I'm just thankful.
So is like because it's very similar to the story that we heard because we were trying to track all the roster movements and I thought for sure that you were going to a different team. And then it felt like people just kind of forgot that you were a free agent and then suddenly you didn't get signed and everyone just started to grab or like reach for you very quickly. Is like the communication that poor in off season that people like the fact that you almost slipped through the cracks is like pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess people didn't value me that high, but yeah, I don't know.
It's weird to say this with you here because people were just going to say I'm doing this because you're a guest, but they were trolling. I was quick on the retweet. I was like, I swear to God, and I had like 4 names in my head. I was like, if any of these 4 supports come in before this man, I'm going to be furious. I'm going to start throwing shots, and I won't say those names now because they're out of the league, and there's no point in BMing them. Don't kick them while they're down. But I was ready. I was like, what are you doing?
We actually had this discussion like every day in the office. We're like, where the hell is Norskeren?
We said it. We were like, wait a second. If this team doesn't have Norskeren, who do they actually have? Like, who is coming into this league?
Koreans, baby.
Koreans. Bam.
Took my
Import.
job.
Yeah.
Gorilla stealing your job. That's the truth.
IgNar.
That's the new truth. Upset, you on the other hand had this entire Schalke lineup built up around you.
Yeah.
One day you're chilling, with Nuke Duck. The next day he's disappeared over to OG.
Yeah, it's quite sad actually. I mean, I was we were kind of planning to like build a new team around me and Nuke in the off season, but then just off season happened, I guess, and it ended up with everyone leaving. So I mean, we didn't plan to keep everyone anyways. We wanted to make some changes because we felt like we were kind of stuck at a certain point. But everyone leaving was definitely very surprising. So yeah, I wasn't too involved in the roster building process. I mostly just spoke to my coach about my support. And I obviously gave my opinions about the other players too. But yeah, I was just talking a lot like what kind of support I wanted when Dylan was signed. And yeah, it was a Korean. I wanted to really play with a Korean this time because I feel like in EU, most supports are maybe...
I'm not here. I'm not here.
I mean, I think a lot of EU supports have like a good upside, but they all have some like downside as well. And either they have like good mechanics, but the brain is lacking a bit. And I felt like in a Korean, maybe if I'm lucky, I could get like both. And I actually feel like IgNar's quite smart and really good at the game. So yeah, I was really lucky, I think, ending up with him.
I'm just impressed that they wanted to gamble on IgNar. Did you practice with him before signing him? Did you get to play with him during any time?
I didn't play any game, and I didn't watch any solo queue games of him. I just hope like he still wants to win.
Did you just watch the Misfits run at Worlds and go, I really hope he's still that good? I was like, I don't know if you saw all of 2018, but it was not a good look for this man.
I mean, obviously I was watching some LCK, but I think his team was just kind of bad. And
definitely true.
I watched like some Blitzcrank montage, and I was when he hooked Nuke, when he dashed with Lucian and he mad left it, I knew like we have to sign him. So this is how I chose my support mostly.
That's fantastic. On your end, Norskeren, you kind of came into, I would say, a mostly built roster.
Yeah.
How did it feel like adapting and kind of coming into this new Splyce climate, this new team? Because it seems like a pretty big move for you.
I mean, they had 2 players from the former team. Everybody else was new, kind of. So it didn't really feel like that special. Like we clicked pretty well, I would say, and I feel like I have a really like big connection with the teammates already. It's kind of funny. Like we have no like bad blood like in Rocket, I would say. We had really horrible scrims, I would say, every day. So it feels really nice like to be able to learn like with a good coaching staff too. I think all the other coaching staffs I've had like kind of been a joke, so didn't really learn anything. But now I feel like I'm actually learning.
Hey, that was Rocket. They're not here anymore. You don't have to worry. It's okay. You can throw a little...
No, I mean, we just have so many... I mean, we have 3 coaches, kind of, so I feel like I'm learning, like, every mistake I do, I get told what's wrong, so it's pretty nice.
That's hype. Well, I'm glad you finally got a little more infrastructure, a little more support behind you. And it seems like both of you guys are doing well. Now, Splyce has had a so-so start. I feel like every time I get hyped about Splyce, they end up in 5th place again. So we'll see if that changes moving forward. But upset, obviously, your team has hit the ground running. And to kind of segue into our discussion about bot lane, you and IgNar have come out swinging. The Blitzcrank montage decision-making was apparently a good choice because obviously you guys have already had a few highlight moments. How do you feel about your lane compared to the rest of the league right now?
I mean, I think right now we're the best bot lane. Like, I think we understand the game the best, and also in lane we get quite a lot of advantages. So, yeah, I think we're just the best right now. I think G2's bot lane is quite good too. I mean, from the games I watch on stage, they seem to play quite aggressive and try to push their leads and play to the maximum. Sometimes it backfires a bit, but the team overall is so good. So, obviously, if your team is really good, you can look better as well as individuals. So, yeah, I think G2 also was the only game we lost on stage, so I think they were like 2nd best probably.
When you're defining like a bot lane as the best bot lane, what are kind of the attributes that you're taking into it? Is it things like champion pool, understanding the 2v2 trades, understanding the minion waves, how you're communicating with your jungler?
Right, yeah.
Like what all goes into when you say we are the best bot lane?
I mean, I think it's like a huge amount of things you have to take into account. I think obviously laning is a part of it, but I feel in EU most people overrate laning a lot, and that's like how you rate a bot lane, like how good they are in lane. Obviously, it's important to be good in lane, but just how you understand the lane as a duo, how you pressure the map as a duo is super important. And then you can obviously look at the AD carry itself and see like how his mechanics, how's his team fighting, how's he trading in lane, like how does he understand minion waves. And then you can look at the support, like how does he roam, what's his vision, understanding like how is he playing with his jungler. And yeah, I think if you take everything into account, I think we are quite complete right now. And we also talk with our jungler a lot, and he's helping us out here and there. So, yeah.
Just watching Norskeren, like, yes.
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 I mean, I agree.
Yes.
I think Schalke is really good. I mean, the bot lane at least. Team is also good, of course. But, yeah, I think.
I just feel like you're not intentionally throwing shade. It just consistently sounds like you're accidentally throwing shade at Memento. You're just like,
no, I love Memento. It's so fun. But yeah, I think Schalke's bot lane is very good. Definitely top 2, I would say.
where do you see yourself in Kobbe right now?
Top 10?
Top 10 in the LEC, yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, we haven't had that much playtime, I guess, but so are the other bot lanes. But I would say our rank is pretty highly, actually. When we get to play more games and show how good we are, I think we can easily show that we are top 4.
If you had to give yourself a weakness, what would you say it is right now?
Or a big strength? A defining feature?
Why did you give him the positive one?
Well, because I don't want him to he's already.
Everyone gets a
I
participation
know.
award.
That's fine, but Upset comes in here saying, "Hey, you're top 10." I feel like we got to save him some face. It can't just be the sad boy Norskeren show, you know?
Goddamn toxic. What was the question again? You asked my weakness?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you had to have a weakness, because Kobbe and you are super solid, but what's the one thing that you think if you fix it that you get to be to?
I think
top
buying
3,
items,
top
maybe?
2?
I think buying items the one. Yeah, I mean, I think the
Sometimes you just talk about other things. You walk off base.
And then you're in lane and no items, and you're just
You're like, thank God the trinket auto purchased for me, right? That
at
was
least I have awards, man. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem about us is probably my inconsistency. I would say I'm quite inconsistent. I have a problem with that. Some games, buy items. Some games I don't. But yeah, I think Kobbe is really consistent. So if we just work on, or I just work on myself, and pretty sure it's gonna be really good.
Is there do you know why you're inconsistent? I mean, the item thing is obviously a meme, but do you just do you know? Is it focus on stage? Is it? Have you figured out what's kind of holding you back from
Is it
being
that
a
you're
consistent
always
player?
looking for the plays? Because when I watch you, I'm like, this guy's crazy. He's gonna try to kill someone and do the work, or it won't.
I mean, I think it's just certain players. I have I don't know. I just don't know how to play against them. Like against Pike, I really don't like this champion, so I obviously perform very bad against him. Don't want to talk about it, but yeah, I think to work on some matchups. Not sure.
So pick Pike against them, guys.
Yeah, we're just
You're
giving out
just giving free
secrets.
info, dude.
We're just giving out free info. That's fine.
I mean, I think the G2 game was enough info for.
Yeah, maybe. Right.
I mean, that was an alright game. Mickey played pretty well. He landed
he did.
every ability but R in that game.
What are some more weaknesses?
Yeah.
Then we can
Give us a
explore.
strength.
I'm pretty bad at Brom. Don't ban Brom, guys.
Give us what do you think is when you're playing well and you're at that that peak performance when you're buying items on your way out of base? What does a good game look like for you? Is it finding those clutch plays? Is it those good roams? What do you think is the unique thing about you as a support?
It should be a good balance. You don't have to roam super much every game, but I'm definitely a roam player, I would say. So just finding the balance, how Kobbe. If I find out Kobbe doesn't die while I roam, I mean that's pretty good. And if I work well with my jungle, communicate well. I think sort of an issue I've had with Memento or my former jungler. We didn't really communicate that well and didn't really do much except for kill the enemy jungle and win the early game. But I feel here in Splyce we can win the game even though we fall a little bit behind early, which I couldn't really in my last team. So yeah, that's it.
I remember that's what we talked about too. It was Memento either kills someone right out the gate or this team just falls apart.
Yeah.
Except for that one time you got a rally of Vlad somehow in draft and made it to 35 minutes. I remember that. Good old days on Rocket. You guys have actually a lot of history together. Before we talk more about bot lane, something I kind of forgot to touch on. You guys played a lot together in Challenger Series. Is it weird now playing on stage against each other at all? Do you remember the old days when you go up against each other?
I mean, I feel like it really helps me out because when I used to play with him, I was maybe a bit mean when we were playing duo queue. So I feel like he has a bit of a mental block nowadays when I play with him, and he's shaking. So yeah.
How mean are we talking here? I mean, obviously you're not typing in chat.
He wasn't most mean to me, but I think some of the other teammates. But he's definitely wrong. Yeah,
No, I was just trying to help him improve.
Yeah.
And it was.
What kind of language did you use to help him improve? Hey, stop inting, or maybe don't put a ward right now. We don't have push.
I think it was hey, stop inting, and then some other words.
That's inspirational advice. That's inspirational. I get that one in solo queue too. It's good to know that I get the upset level of coaching in solo queue from my
great,
better
right?
jungler wins. Oh, nice. Thanks, upset.
The Dark defense.
That's a
Dark
famous one.
defense. What do you think is the? I mean, obviously you guys are very professional now, but I know, and playing on teams, you're very serious. You're good at interviews. You're very PR positive. But what was like back in the day in the Challenger Series? Challenger Series, I remember being pretty wild west. There were definitely a lot of memers and toxic players out there.
The thing is, it's like we played already. Was it 2015 or 2016?
No, 2016 spring. We played the Challenger Series qualifier.
He knew that to the day. He was like 2016 spring, February 4th.
That's the day the
It was the best day of my life.
Yeah, playing with me, like, yeah. But
So it's like 2014, right?
no, I mean, we were like all 15 or 16 at this point, and we were also playing with caps. So we were just like kids and having a lot of fun back then. And then we played in Mouse, but we failed to qualify actually, even though we had caps, me and Norskeren, which was quite a shock at the time. But we weren't taking it too seriously, I think. And then we played again in Schalke last year.
Mm-hmm.
No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And this is when we managed to qualify. And I think this is like, was probably the most fun split, I think, because it wasn't super serious, but we still like ended up winning a lot in Challenger Series, at least in qualifying. So, yeah.
What's your favorite memory from either of you? Like when you're playing together on this Challenger teams, like the most ridiculous thing you did, the most fun you had, craziest game.
There's so much. I mean, I can't really.
I mean, we like, I don't know, we are just like enjoying life. One time we like locked ourselves outside of our house. Like we all left our keys because we were like training at the office. Yeah. We came back and it was like 1 a.m. We like had to break into our own house, but it was like on the second floor. So we are like doing some MacGyver stuff, building stuff and like climbing up, and we were all helping each other, breaking into our own house, and there were like cars driving by. It's 1 a.m. It's like the image
like five random kids. What are you guys like 17 at the time, 18 maybe?
Yeah, that was pretty fun actually that night.
Oh my gosh! I heard rumors of role swap games. I don't remember these games.
Oof. I mean,
no comment, I would say.
There was a time in EU scrims, I think it was like when LCS was, like some teams didn't really have to, didn't have a chance to make playoffs anymore or relegations. So like people were trolling a bit in scrims and role swapping, and we joined the trend just for fun. Yeah.
Okay, what did you
Norskeren is quite a good AD carry.
Norskeren's a good AD carry? What's your go-to on AD carry, Norskeren?
Before it was Tristana, I was insane, but I guess now it's Jhin. I think I played Jhin the most actually in those scrims. I think...
So it wasn't too many scrims like we showed.
Yeah, I mean it was like a couple games.
Yeah, we were not always
I don't run it down in scrims. I swear I don't troll. Please scrim Schalke.
What's Challenger Series?
Yeah, it was.
Nowadays, no more role swaps.
But then if there's no more role swaps, then I still have to ask you upset. What's like your go-to jungler? Are you secretly? Is that your off role?
I mean, no, my off role is usually mid lane, but I try to play every role.
Ooh.
I've seen your Yasuo, bro. It's really dirty.
I mean, yeah, but you have to int on Yasuo. It's like kind of part of the champion. But jungle, I usually play Lee Sin. I don't know. I just like to play like the Lee Sin, Yasuo, Jace.
I'm starting to feel like you don't come off as a very ego-driven guy, but you're like, I play 80 carry. My backup is Yasuo or jungle Lee Sin. I'm like,
Chad.
This is some Chad stuff coming through. I feel like the ego is showing through in the picks right now.
Sorry. I'm thinking like, oh God, will he ever play Yasuo in the bot lane? That would be awful.
I played a lot. Actually, I was the first one to play it, I think. I played it way back. But I have no proof, sadly, but
so what you're saying
it
is
might
that
come out eventually.
Anytime the mages come back into the bot lane, you're like ready to swap into them.
I think they're back already. Just
true.
Wait and see.
Wait and see what happens.
All right. So we've talked to you guys kind of about what your strengths are as a bot laner. But to get back on the bot lane topic, I want to know who is the worst bot lane to play against, like the nightmare bot lane. Either because they're
that question could have gone a
worst
lot of
bot lane?
different ways.
The worst team to play against from like a bot lane perspective.
The most frustrating.
It can be like most irritating to play against. It can be like this. I hate playing against this bot lane because their jungler literally lives here and I don't get to 2v2. I have to 3v2.
I think for me, at least last year, it was Hillesang or Fnatic. This guy is he was pretty good. I guess now he's kind of in a slump, but I think I've always respected him for his playstyle. Like he's so like different to all the other players. Like he likes to all in level 1, like flash on you. So it's pretty scary to play against him because you never really know what he's doing. So
it's terrifying. I feel like we've seen that go really wrong though. So are you just perpetually uncomfortable in a Hillesang lane because you just never know when he's going to flash in on you?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's very aggressive. He's really good at finding like good fights. like team fights or just 2v2 fights in general. So that's his strength, I would say.
Is there anyone where it's just super frustrating to play against? Like it's just like a grind versus something that's scary?
I mean, last year, actually, when we were scrimming Misfits by the end, when they were like only playing around bot and they were like playing Lulu mid and this stuff, and Hans was like always, Mickey was always counterpicking support, and he has like really big champion pool, and he would like play his Gragas, his Poppy, and Hans would always like play very strong laning ADs, and their jungle was like there all the time, so you were just getting pushed for like quite a lot, and I didn't really play any strong laning ADs, so this was definitely...
You're linking them.
Yeah, I was just getting pushed, had to last.
Pre-rework Ezreal, where you're just like, I'm going to sit here and wait for my 2
with my little
items.
Qs, throw them at the minions, hope I get some last hits, That was definitely most frustrating, I think.
I mean, they still feel like they're camping bot a decent amount.
What do you guys feel about the whole, because it feels like so many teams are being successful by playing through bot lane. I mean, do you guys agree with that? Do you think that that's the way that you have to play the game now? Or do you think it's just a nature of, because if you look at LEC, it feels like across the board, every bot lane got stronger. It used to be where I looked at Europe, I was like, there's a big hole in support here where there's just not very good supports
Now
in the
we got
region.
all the Koreans. So
And now like the import of talent,
Almost got rid of
breakout
Norskeren.
summer. And it just got much stronger across the board. And it also feels like while Hilly and Reckless might be in a slump, that they also just aren't definitively one of the strongest bot lanes. Like now they're contested and challenged.
I mean, I think the meta right now hurts them as well, because Reckless obviously is like really insane on Sivir, Tristana and stuff, but right now you can just pick like champs into it that are maybe better, and then he can't really lane that well, or he has problems where in the past he could just farm and then do his thing later on in the game. And Hylissang is having some issues too. Maybe even though they played so long together, I feel like they're not on the same page right now. When I play against them, they're like doing different stuff. So I don't really know if many people are like playing around bot lane particularly. I think most people still play around mid lane, but definitely the bot lanes are stronger now.
For you, Norskeren, how do you feel about like the level of bot lane right now overall? Like,
I mean, it improved, I think, a lot. At least from there's been how many Koreans came? Like 3. I think they're really good. I feel like they try like much harder than every other player in scrims at least. Like I'm not saying EU people are lazy, but sometimes they are, I would say. But just playing against Koreans, they sort of have like this different like mentality or playstyle, I would say, than most other European supports. So it just feels like different, and I think all the other European players are like picking it up and like trying to copy them because they're good, of course.
Would you put yourself in the top 3 supports in LEC?
That's kind of hard, actually. I think IgNar is probably the best. I think it's really good.
Like your 2 big Korean supports would be like Gorilla and IgNar. But like, do you think that you can come in at that 3rd place?
I mean, it depends. You don't really know like what the support does for the team. Like, sure, he can be a good laner, but he can like have no brain. Like, sort of like me last year, I would say. I had no brain, but I had some okay mechanics. But yeah, I think if the support does a lot of shot calling, he's definitely valuable. But you don't really know. But I would guess that all the Korean players have like a big part of the shot calling.
So where do you put yourself then? Like if you think about everything, because you know obviously how much you're doing, right? And you put IgNar at number 1. Where do you see yourself? Frosco's pushing for top 3. Do you feel top 5 right now?
I mean, I feel like it's really easy to say like IgNar, Gorilla, Mickey, and then I would actually put you like right there.
Yeah, I think I agree. Somewhere between there. I think I'm not the best, of course, but I think I'm definitely up there.
From your perspective, Upset, how do you feel about like the top support rankings?
Nice.
He already put IgNar number 1, so you're safe. Your teammates at the number 1 slot. You're good.
No, I mean, Mickey is really good, obviously. IgNar, of course. I think Gorilla had some off games, maybe. Versus Vitality, for example, but he's good too.
Where he sees the jungler, then he all-ins,
He has
and
to
then
all-in.
gets ganked by the jungler.
And, I mean, Jacktroll is good too, I think. Kinda underrated, maybe. Let me see the teams. I mean, I don't know, Mithy is a bit painful, because I think he's really good, but he is just inting on stage a bit.
Yeah, I feel like the same.
He seems to have like maybe a mental thing going on or something, I'm not sure.
It's weird because his laning is so strong, but then he just gets caught out on roams every time.
He should like stop going at this dragon area. I saw him
Yeah,
like
should like
three times.
draw a line. You know,
Yeah.
like, you
After
can't
he
go
passes
ahead.
the line
Don't
on
go-
mini
don't
app.
go here.
Just draw it with
Like
pings
jungle check.
every 10 seconds, just a reminder. Someone has to take turns reminding Mithy to stay in the bot lane. Yeah, and that's an interesting bot lane. Sheriff was a guy who I think a lot of people didn't have very high expectations of, at least from an outside perspective, because he played on that H2K lineup that did nothing.
Only 2 members survived.
Yeah, and I'm curious how you guys see that bot lane overall. Mithy obviously struggling a little bit, but coming back. Do you think Mithy can like train up another AD carrier? Where do you see Patrik right now in the scheme of things?
You want to go first? Okay.
No, you can go.
I mean, I think he's pretty good mechanically, and in lane with Mithy they're quite good, but I feel like he's maybe a bit lost on the map come mid game, and he's not really doing his job like super well, where he's like farming up and matching the other AD carry. I feel even if he's like winning lane, he doesn't really do too much with the pressure, and after lane I feel he often actually falls behind, but in teamfights he does well, so he definitely has good mechanics, but he maybe needs to understand his role a bit more.
So do you think the responsibility of the ADC, like post lane phase, is to, you're saying just match the other ADC and then pick up farm where available?
I mean, it's obviously a very AD carry centric point of view of the game, right? But I feel what works best for me is to try to get an item advantage on the enemy AD, and then you can just get priority, or like you're stronger in fights, so you can carry the game this way. But I mean, at least some games I watched, it's like he gets ahead and then they just chill and nothing happens, even though he's ahead, and then he's suddenly behind the item. And I'm like,
Do you think that's an issue of maybe because he is the younger player on that team, that maybe he's listening too much to his teammates as opposed to advocating for himself? Like if you have an experienced ADC saying, I need to get this farm so I can get this item, versus just listening to his teammates and following them around.
I mean, I know Nuktak loves himself some farm as well, because I played with him for a year and I had to contest a lot of waves with him. So I usually you contest the wave with the enemy player, right? But I was contesting it with him.
So the problem is Nuke Talk.
I mean, and it looks like Cold likes to farm his little jungle camps too, and Alfari obviously likes to play carries, so I could see him like, it's maybe not even his fault, you know, but I could
He's
see
on
him.
Wolf Camp, like, please.
Yeah, please get me this wolf. I need some gold too, but yeah.
Oh man,
Might be like a team thing, right?
could be. Were you guys surprised at all to see Origen start kind of so poorly? Because I mean, I heard rumors coming into the split, like there are obviously a lot of scrim rumors floating around that like OG were doing really well and this team like looked like they were really strong, and then they got destroyed by G2 and they kind of won that Vayne mid game, and then after that it's been mostly downhill. Had an okay game against SK where an Ezreal very generously leapt into their jungler for some reason, and they won the game like that. But what did you expect from OG compared to like where they ended up now?
I thought they would be like really good actually. I've always respected Mithy and Nuktak, these older players, and I thought Alfari, Cold, they seem pretty stable or like good. So I had pretty high expectations. I'm kind of surprised, or I think I'm mostly surprised by how Origen is performing. I think they're the only team that like really surprised me.
I mean, frankly, when it comes to like, let's like look super long-term Worlds, which everything could be completely different. It's like G2, I think a lot of people are still giving the benefit of the doubt to like Misfits will probably make it, but then it's like Schalke, Splyce.
Vitality.
Vitality. But like you guys are, most people are assuming that one of you two will go to Worlds at this point.
And I don't think Splyce make it to Worlds, obviously, but
Just
See, this is why I tried to throw him a bone.
so toxic.
I was like,
I mean, that would really be a shock to me. I think, G2 will probably make it. I think Vitality, Misfits. But I think Origen can still bounce back. Like, I know
yeah, it's just
who's...
spring.
Yeah, I mean, it's like week 3 in spring,
Yeah.
so it's super hard to tell, but...
No, we like sweeping statements here.
we love sweeping
Oh, okay.
statements.
I mean, yeah.
For those
Just
reactions.
predict the world enters right now.
I mean, G2... I mean, even Fnatic, like, it's crazy that Fnatic is out of the conversation after like 3 weeks of spring split, right? Because they were in the world final last year.
But does everyone...
I don't know if you've seen them, but they don't
Okay,
look
I mean,
good.
I have seen them. I've witnessed it, but yeah.
What do you think has to like, and again, I don't want to kill Fnatic. Like, I hope it's a good story for us. We're a narrative broadcast. We want these guys to return to form. We like them. But just saying, what do you think is the final like nail in the coffin for Fnatic when people will stop with like the tiny little voices? But it's Fnatic. They made the world final. They could still do it. Like, at what point do people be like, ah?
I mean, if they miss out on playoffs, I think it's clear that...
That's a 10-week like long where people are like, but Fnatic.
I mean, if they don't start picking up in the next weeks, I think you can kind of see that the problem is maybe not easy to fix at all, and that's like something's really wrong in the core. So they should really start picking up some wins next week. But it will be hard, I think. They play G2. So yeah,
That's where they turn it around.
they got to improve it really, really fast because the split is not that long anymore, right? It's like 6 more weeks.
Now, the one thing that you touched on that I think is like seems to just be accepted in the LEC is like people really do not hold Splyce in high regard,
Which is weird.
which is odd, and it feels to me like Vitality I think gets some of this too, and a lot because they played such an aggressive, such a high risk play style. So people were like, "Oh, that's just not going to work. Like eventually it's going to break." I'm curious from your perspective, Norskeren, like why do you think Splyce is so consistently underestimated? Because you guys are like always in the playoffs, very usually in top 4, and yet our boy Upstate here, the second Worlds comes around, he's like, "Oh, sorry, you're gonna have to take Splyce off that one." But it's not just you who said that. I think a lot of people have said that that Splyce doesn't feel like the same caliber of team. Why do you think that is, in your opinion?
I don't know. I think just we have a really good shot at like, doing well. I think our jungle is probably like one of the best junglers in EU. Like Circe is so insane, I would say. Like this guy would always like smash my former jungle in scrims last year. I'm not throwing shade, but yeah, I was really impressed like how he plays, like his champ pool. He has some cheesy
shining
picks.
light, yeah.
He's the shining light of Splyce. He'll bring us to Worlds. You'll watch.
I think Circe is the X factor.
Yeah, I think he's carrying us every game.
Well, that's fair. His Karthus game pretty solid. What about like Humanoid?
I mean, yeah, he's
This is why you start complimenting and then you like cut short. I'm like, no, please keep building
Build
them
a
up.
team up. Don't be ashamed. Tell us like why people should be hyped about Splyce. How is Splyce getting the Worlds?
I think the only thing about Humanoid is kind of inexperienced. So he has been playing well on stage. He's not really nervous. I think he just doesn't really care about like the pressure or anything. But with the time, he probably will like start like knowing what he should say or like what he does in later stage of the game. So just have to wait and see. And for the rest of our team, we have 2 like veterans like Kobbe and Norskeren. They kind of know what they have to do in the late game. Just kind of what Humanoid and I do, kind of important because I think we are the younger players. We need to learn the most, I think.
It's interesting that you still consider yourself as like, I mean, I know it's obviously a very veteran lineup, but one of the younger players. Because I mean, you've been here for a while now. You've been playing on a lot of teams.
Yeah, but I wouldn't really say playing in like Challenger series was like, I wouldn't really count myself as a professional then because we just had a lot of fun.
Because you were playing AD in scrims half the time.
No, I was just a little bit, but it still felt like I didn't really like learn anything. I think my mindset was pretty bad.
Didn't learn anything?
I mean,
I taught
of
you like
course,
everything.
Of course, you taught me how to lane, but there's more to the game about laning.
You are so quick to jump in here, man, and
just
take
crazy
this
what I'm
credit. You're like,
hearing, you
I
know?
taught him everything.
No, but I meant like from a macro game, I would say I was quite stupid until very recently. So I think I've been learning a lot, at least from my coaching staff, which I haven't been able to do earlier. I would just get told by my teammates kind of that I should just watch LCK and learn, but didn't really learn anything.
That's cool. When Vedius became a color caster, Deficio said, just watch VODs, and that was the only advice he gave him. And Vedius was like, watch for what? Like, how does that help me? What does that do?
Yeah, I felt like I kind of had to get spoon-fed the information, but I think now it's pretty good.
That's good to hear.
It's interesting that you say that because like watching Splyce are such an interesting team. Like your guys' vision setup is actually like quite high level. And what's interesting too is I think the LEC on average has so much better vision control than like the LCS, which is why they turn into a lot of those weird ARAM things in the middle where they go back and forth because they just don't know how to set up.
It's also
vision.
the 60 ping in solo queue. It really holds them back.
Oh yeah, it's definitely binding their hands there. But Splyce seemed like so like textbook and playbook. And you guys, for having a playmaker like you, having Chachi and Circe, these very creative players, it feels like you guys have lost some of that creativity and you play like super textbook and you won't make any of like these big explosive plays. Whereas people like G2, people like Schalke, people like Misfits, I feel like will play sometimes very explosive League of Legends where you just don't expect some of the creativity about how they're setting up their plays. Like, do you guys feel that in calls that you're trying to be like, play it by the book, play it like how our coaches taught us, listen to the macro decisions?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that, but I think also that we haven't shown like that much on stage. So I would say we're not like really uncreative or like not creative at all, but I would say we are. So we just have to wait and see.
It just hasn't happened in those games yet?
We have some spicy picks ready.
Perfect.
And some spicy decisions to make.
I'm so ready for spicy picks. People keep saying the word spicy picks, both before this episode and during this episode. So I hope we get to see some of them.
I actually just think that pro players are just trolling the casters now. And you guys tell us that like
We have so
spicy
much,
picks
man.
are happening.
I got a
So
spicy
many
pick for
picks,
you.
man.
Have you ever heard of this Braum champion? Ooh.
It's actually
He
funny we
blocks
say it.
skill shots. I'm ready. Yeah, so one thing that I've noticed over the course of this episode, Upset, your confidence this year has gone through the roof, which is like a huge change. Because I remember when you had a lot of nerves, you had a lot of struggle transitioning like scrim performance and that confidence to on stage.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back at kind of the last year, was there like a moment where it all just changed for you, where you were just like, suddenly I can just play like stress free? Or do you still carry some of that with you when you go on stage, where you're more nervous, where you're more hesitant?
No, I mean, I think it's totally normal to be nervous, and it's actually a good thing if you can just accept it and bear with it. And nowadays on stage, I don't really feel like super stressed or nervous anymore. I think I worked a lot with my sports psychologist about it, so I don't make like, I mean, even in spring split, I think I wasn't playing that bad, but I was making like some weird mistakes that I wouldn't usually do in scrims, where I would like throw the game or jumping in or something. So yeah, I think I worked a lot with it with my sports psychologist, and also just gaining the experience of playing for 1 year and also playoffs, I think helped me a lot, because it's just a different setting maybe, and you just get used to the pressure more. Yeah, I mean, I feel even more I feel more confident this year as well, because I think my support is really, really good, and he just like helps me a lot as well. And I feel like when I played with Vander, maybe I was like telling him like what to do, and I had more responsibility. But with IgNar, I'm focusing like more on myself, and I feel he really knows what to do as well. So when we play together, it's just much more easy for me to play.
Norskeren, do you have to micromanage Kobbe in lane?
Not really. I mean, he's not a talkative person, but at least from what I had on my last ADC, like Hiku, this guy talks a lot, I would say, for an ADC. Maybe he should role swap or something. I think we were actually considering it once, but yeah, I think now I'm. I feel like I'm talking the most in lane, which feels really good. Like I want to be the one who kind of leads the lane or something like that.
Actually, when we were playing, you were not talking at all.
Yeah, of course, I was no brain.
Yeah, feels bad, man.
He pushes the buttons good. That's what Norskeren does.
Upset told me the fundamentals of the game.
There you go.
I wouldn't be here.
Stop
say it as a joke,
inting.
but-
You didn't teach him
It's
to
true.
buy items though. So a little
Actually,
like a little
yeah.
work.
This
I
meme has to
misunderstood.
stop.
It's like all we have.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting to hear like how much more active a lot of the supports are, because that's always what I heard about kind of some of the best supports is like how they just manage a lane. And whenever I listen to like a great AD carry talk about their experience, they're like, yeah, I just play AD carry. Like I don't have to think, I don't have to worry. Like until mid game, like I'm good. I can just focus on whatever I have to do, trading in lane, last hitting. I think that's always kind of like a cool thing to shoot for and to hear about. When we look at bot lanes across the board, we kind of talked about some of the tops. I'm curious if you guys are down to talk about who are some of the struggling bot lanes. That's my PC way of saying worst bot lanes. Like who do you think is struggling the most right now in the LEC?
I think if we look at the table, there's someone at the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, I think Rogue's bot lane is really inting. I think SK's bot lane, I mean, I don't know. In lane, I think they do okay. I think Dreams is actually quite good, but later on, they like to int a bit as well. So they're kind of struggling later on.
Is there any bot lane where you think doesn't match the ranking system? Like if you look at the top teams, is there a bot lane that's like far weaker and they're being carried by the rest of their map? Or is there a bot lane in like the bottom of the teams that they're trying to hard carry the rest of their map, but it's just not working or the synergy's not there? Do you think that like disproportionately someone just sticks out?
I mean, I think no one like really sticks out, but I would put like, I mean, I could do like a ranking if I see it. I think G2, Schalke, then I would put Misfits, then I would maybe put Vitality, then I think Origen, Fnatic, Splyce, XL, SK, XL, Rogue. That would be like my rating of bot lanes.
You put that's Kobbe and Norskeren very far down there. And Norskeren, you've
a
been
hater.
literally just thrown under this bus. You live under this bus this episode, and I'm
You
sorry
won't
for
even
that.
fight back. That's what
Norskeren, you're just
happened?
accepting it, and I feel bad. I feel like you're being. I can't call it cyberbullying because it's in real life. You're being real life bullying. It's real life bullying.
It's a throwback.
No, what do you think about the rating?
I mean, I definitely like kind of agree, but except for us.
Who are you better than from the teams that I said?
Are you better than
I don't
G2?
remember, I don't remember what
He
you
put
said.
OG above you. He put
OG, Fnatic, Misfits.
He put Fnatic above you, too.
G2.
Come on, Hilly and Reckless went like 0-14 across from you guys in lane
was
phase.
us.
I think you're talking about like too much
They didn't go
on paper.
0-14.
Okay, but I picked Varus Prom. I was a bit insecure. I don't know.
Yeah, you were shaking in lane, I would say.
I was farming.
Where do you see Splyce in the bot lane thing? Because we talked earlier and you said like top 4, top 5, and you felt pretty comfortable.
I still think so. I think some of the teams, they have like good players, but they're not performing right now. So I just have to say how it is. Like sure, they have higher potential. They usually play better than usual than they do now. But I think they're performing quite well, like compared to now, or compared to like some other players.
Do you think you're performing better than Jack Troll and Attila?
I haven't really been watching too much of Vitality's games. I feel like they, I don't know.
I actually think they do perform better than Jack Troll and Attila.
It was a softball. I'm glad that.
Yeah.
Well, just spike
Thank
it
you.
down.
Thank you,
Just
man.
take
Go
it.
on, bro.
Norskeren, don't be afraid,
Thank you.
buddy.
I mean,
Just dab on it. Just come in here. Just come swinging.
You're performing well.
I think Vitality as a team is obviously playing better, but maybe their duo lane is like their weak point, I think, if I look at the team, because the solo lanes are super strong. I think Carboshot is super underrated right now. This guy's like really smurfing. And their jungle is Korean, and he's obviously really good as well. And Jizuka, the top side is really good. I think their bot lane had such an int weekend actually, didn't he? Was you guys actually, you murdered them in lane with Silver.
This guy bought Cull on lane.
That's
You
true too.
definitely
And then he
misplayed
got
and
murdered.
had that.
They have some lane liabilities from time to time, I think, when they're maybe not fully comfortable with the champs they play. So yeah.
They played. At least Attila plays pretty well in teamfights sometimes, but they're not the best laners. But why are you laughing? You don't agree?
Attila's in teamfights? I don't think he's particularly good in teamfights.
No, I meant that he's better in teamfights than he's in lane.
Oh, I don't think so. I think his strong point is laning maybe. Or he's not really playing lane smart or anything, but he is pushing a lot and is generating pressure for his team with the champs he's playing. So I think that's a good thing about him. But I think his team fighting is not as good as many other ADs in the league.
We have this saying in the LPL as the 80 carries talk about themselves. They talk about one person's a needle and one person's a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have players like, I don't know, Uzi, who will say that he's a needle, where he's fine threading, sewing everything together.
Yeah.
And someone like iBoy, which is just a way of saying that you have no brain, but you just hit things with a hammer. Do you feel that way? Because it kind of sounds similar, whereas Attila is just the hammer, that he'll just come through and pound it to make it work, as opposed to being thinking about everything and calculating I'm going to hold the minion wave and make a freeze and get my jungler and...
Yeah, I think he just likes to hit the minions as much as he can. I've never seen him freeze a wave, actually. I'm not even joking. I think I've played against him 10 times on stage. I've never seen him freeze a wave.
We tried really hard last year to build up the Attila upset rivalry. And
We're having upset every episode.
And we kind of get an Attila upset episode at some point. I'm worried you guys will come to fists, though. It just
We will have to sit between them.
But so do you feel do you feel differently about that now this year? Because you seem, in the past, you're he's a fine player, I'm a fine player. I hope we play a good game. That always felt like it was kind of your approach, was just I'm going to focus on the game, not worry about anything else. Mm-hmm. And while I know you're giving your analytical opinion, you're not up here to just talk smack. You're actually just sharing how you feel about it a little bit. Maybe a little smack thrown in. We call them a hammer for sure. Do you feel like that is something do you feel because there's all this sentiment about that being a rivalry, about the history you guys have together in Challenger scene, does it feel more important to come out and beat this guy?
No, not really. Losing just sucks, I think. And winning just feels good. I don't really mind if I would lose to him or anything. I haven't lost to him in a while, so that's obviously nice. But he's obviously a good player, right? I don't mean to take credit from him. I think him and Jack Troll are they have good synergy. I think they work well together. I just think they are maybe not the most cerebral players, and they could use their brains a bit more, I think, in the way they play.
I think that's fair.
Do you have anyone that you want us to build you a rivalry with? Like, is there anybody that you're like, I will be the guy who beats Gorilla?
Because
Like,
we can get the script writers
yeah,
out
because
right
like,
now.
I want you to know that like we'll write it down. It'll go into the storyline. We'll make a video about it. Because we've got this great upset
I don't
Attila
think so.
rivalry.
Only Schalke actually. I think
That's your rivalry?
no, that's gonna be my rival.
It's your rival?
When we get good.
Just the whole team or what?
I mean, you're bot lane.
Oh, okay.
You.
Gotta use your.
So you're saying we need to build? Yeah, is Kobbe on with this? Because before we turn this into a bot lane rivalry, we gotta make sure Kobbe's here too. So are you and Kobbe down for like the Kobbe and
we're gonna
Norskeren
beat
versus
everyone, of
upset
course.
IgNar?
That's a bit. Come on. Fine.
It's pretty toxic.
I don't know. No, me and Kobbe are friends actually. I don't see him as a rival.
Now in Norskeren you go, you should. And
Yeah,
you like
you should.
throw the water across the table.
Tell me
You're
more,
not the
tell me more.
teleprompter. Like he
I
has
don't
to say
know
it himself.
Don't know what to say. I'm out of words at this point.
He doesn't need to say anything. Upset. Be
Yeah.
scared.
Oh, okay.
Shit talk form, dude.
The worst part is because we got flamed so much for narrative this last week that we can probably never do that narrative now because people are gonna be like,
I mean, just put us up against Rogue. I think maybe we'll.
ooh,
Oh, that's
taking,
that's a good
taking revenge on Hiku for the he talks too much in lane and now I'm gonna take him down. The Norskeren story. Just do me a favor. All I ask is that if you do 2v2 kill the rogue bot lane, right? Just stand up
you
and
talk
go.
about it.
Yeah. Well, one, we will definitely talk about it. I will bring it up and I'm going to try to cast that game whenever that matchup happens. But I just want you to stand up and be like, what do you have to say now? Like stand up on stage and just like turn and scream at him. I see players do it in CB LOL all the time.
TV show. Come on, man. Sounds a bit too.
I mean,
fictionized.
you did dab though.
You did
camera.
dab.
That didn't
and
happen.
you
You've
did
also
last
done.
week.
I mean,
Actually, can you teach me like some moves that I can do if I like get a flash?
have you
moment
seen?
in game?
Do you play Fortnite?
No.
Do the floss dance?
I can't.
Ooh,
Can,
you
can
do
you can you
floss.
do
I
it?
can't do it.
Oh,
We can
Frost
floss.
can do it. I
You
taught
can
Frost
floss?
Gurren how
We
to
can
floss.
floss.
Please don't.
We'll teach you. Oh, that's actually a great opportunity for a bet.
Oh,
so,
we're gonna make them
my-
floss,
do you want to floss?
I honestly don't.
Or-
do
I
it.
honestly
I'm
don't
not
know
sure
how
what
to
it
do
is.
it.
or we make.
No,
them
we
do
will
the-
teach you. We'll teach you.
Okay.
We can either teach them how to floss, or we make it so that when they get their kills, that they have to do the. What do you call this?
The dust.
I mean, I was
Did not
just
scare it.
brushing off Memento's tears off my shoulder.
I think the Memento Norskeren rivalry is the real rivalry. I think it's been subtly sprinkled in across this entire episode.
It was not subtle.
It was not.
Actually, yeah.
I mean,
It was very aggressive.
But it's
say
weird.
we
You
had-
said Zerx is so much better than Memento.
Yeah.
But you still lost. So.
yeah, better
so
bot lane
that-
wins.
Oh, okay.
Oh, what? You just sold
Come
yourself
on, dude.
out.
Like.
You just sold yourself out to save your teammate. You're such a hero, but you don't have to jump on every grenade, man.
What?
I take everything for Xerxes.
What happened in Challenger Series? What did he do to you?
We don't talk
You were
about
a
it.
broken man before him. He's like, yeah, upset that, yeah.
All right. Our match of the week this week, or potentially match of the day. The match that I'm excited about this week, one of our marquee matchups, is Vitality versus G2. Vitality, 5-1. G2, undefeated. And I'm curious what you guys think about that, and if you'd be willing to throw down some stakes. Maybe some...
I really don't think Vitality is gonna win that one, for sure.
Shocker.
I mean, when I think about the matchup, Vitality's strengths kind of get. I mean, they're just worse, I think. Like, Jizuka is really good, but then enemy team has caps, so I'm not sure. And I don't think Kabushat will like get such a big lead versus a player like Wunda. And Jankos has been performing really well recently, kind of to my surprise, because he had like a lot of off games in regular season, but now he's like seems to be really on form. Maybe it's because he has caps now. And the bot lane, I don't think the bot lane will like do anything versus G2's bot lane.
I'm gonna be honest. I was really hoping you guys would have a little bit more faith in the old one of the teams that isn't G2. In this case, Vitality, because we really need a wager. And if me and Frost Gurren are on one side, no one wants to see us floss. Like, we need at least one of you to be on the Vitality train.
You can do it, Oscar.
Nah, I think I'll stay on the G2 train for now.
I'm just saying, upset.
No, but I can't be cheering for Vitality.
you could cheer
That's
for
not how it
Attila.
works.
That'd be a twist.
That was actually a twist, but it doesn't fit the narrative, guys. Come on. you have to do it.
Not doing it.
Are
Oh.
we both on Vitality then?
We could both be on Vitality.
I actually made a promise to Yamato that I would never bet against Vitality now, and I needed to make it public. So when it comes up in predictions, because I will be predicting Vitality.
How would you promise that?
I have no idea why I did it, but I did.
Why would you promise that? That's like your analytical credibility.
I will be cheering for
What does he have on you?
It's an upset Norskeren situation.
No. Oh my God. All right. So we can take Vitality.
That's what we got.
That's what we got.
It's a free bet. Yeah.
The question is though, we need a good bet that's going to involve you somehow, because people want to see you do something that's special.
What if we have a cake?
What?
Okay, what if we have a cake?
No, like,
Is that
like
it?
a cake
Oh, you
and
want to
face.
cake somebody?
You want to
I
Steve
kinda-
Aoki?
I mean, yeah, it sounds kind of fun because I never did it, but I imagine it being fun.
We could
And we
actually
would be
get a
involved.
cake.
It would be great.
Or a pie? Yeah. Okay. Pie to the face.
Like throw
Wait,
like a.
does that mean you throw the pie at us?
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, of course.
Yeah. Or if we win, we get to
if
pie
you
them
win,
in
you
the
can
face.
throw that at us. Yeah, that's how it works.
Where?
In the
I'd
face.
no, pie in the face. Yes. What? That was
What?
the way you like where are we going to do
Right
it?
on the-
No.
right on the face.
You're like in the face. You're like, where else would you?
Yeah, I was like a bit surprised. Yeah.
Okay, so pie to the face bet: Vitality versus G2.
It's not that pie.
No.
Oh, I mean, do you have a better idea?
No,
It
I
was
know
just
that's
like
great.
something that came into my mind.
No, because literally that's how 90% of our bets are made.
Okay.
ASMR team fight was not planned. We winged that on the last one. It just
What are you talking about, Dracos? We plan everything out.
We make things up under pressure and we do an okay job. It's like 50-50. But this I like the pie to the face, pie or cake to the face.
We can get a cake. I know someone who can make a cake.
She's not gonna make a cake so that we can throw it in someone's face. That
Just
feels
don't
like
tell her.
DM.
It's like, yeah, we're gonna eat it and throw it in the face.
Yeah, she works for Riot, so she'll just watch the show and see
Oh,
that
oh,
moment.
that's a bummer.
That doesn't work. Yeah.
All right. Pie to the face bet. We'll take Vitality. You guys are going to take G2. Now, I do want a little bit more insight on the matchup. You already said the bot lane can't contest. You feel like Jankos is playing really well. Froskern, if we're going to win this bet, how's it going to happen? How is Vitality going to take this game?
Well, G2 will be super arrogant, overconfident. They'll try to make
Classic.
some sort of stupid dive play because Mickey and Perks are actually playing very disrespectful in a lot of instances.
That's true.
And it'll be like a snowball factor where Jizuke will be either on something like a LeBlanc or Mowgli will be on something that snowballs hard. I don't want to see him on Olaf. I don't think that's going to be strong enough to do it. But
Yeah, maybe.
some sort of hard carry jungle mid where Perks and Mickey overextend, get punished. It's like a triple kill to Jizuke, and suddenly it doesn't matter if Caps is Caps.
I mean, actually, that's true. G2 has been like giving a lot of early leads away. I mean, they're always ahead, but they give a lot of kills at least. And maybe if they play back versus Draven, you shouldn't give kills like this, even if they're ahead in gold. They can definitely throw like a game or play cocky and then get punished versus a team like Vitality. And it looks like Vitality can snowball a lead versus all the other teams except us so far. So I think they will. If they get an early lead, they should be able to snowball.
What's scary though is it feels like Vitality wouldn't have that strategy in mind when going into the game. It feels like what Vitality are trying to do right now is learn the LCK style of playing, where they try to like do it slow and do it by the book and play around Mowgli and his pressure.
Judging from scrims, I cannot confirm the statement. Definitely not LCK style. But
Well, good, because
maybe.
that's how Vitality win is if they play Vitality style. I watch
Yeah.
them on stage, I'm like, it just feels like
Just kill somebody.
just murder someone.
Just roll into that lane.
Vitality style works best for them. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've had some
definitely.
experiences of them trying the LCK way too. Maybe not this year, but last year.
Who wants to be
2020?
fourth best?
Yeah, exactly. EU is so much better than LCK. Like,
It's true.
it's really sad.
Now
Like, imagine
smile,
Griffin versus
say it,
Rogue,
and
they
look
would, like,
directly in the
crumble.
camera.
EU is better than LCK. Griffin is bad. This is
That is going to be what we clip out. That is the best clickbait anyone has ever made for an episode, by the way.
yeah.
And that's all you need. That's literally the only time we talk about LCK, but we're going to get every LCK fanboy in here to flame you. Your Twitter DMs are just going to be obliterated this week. I am so sorry in advance.
But Jovi has 100 KDA.
He's never died.
All right. Fantastic. Vitality versus G2. It's going to take some very special circumstances, it seems, for Vitality to come out on top. But we're believing in Yamato and Perks' desire to just randomly go all in.
No, we said Mickey. Oh.
Perks and
God
Mickey's.
damn it. Every time someone says perks, I think mid lane still.
We'll get there. He's learning. Going ham. All right. Vitality versus G2. Pie to the face. We're going to figure out exactly where/how this will get resolved, but there will be video of it, most certainly. Maybe Splyce and Schalke can put in their respective content.
Better get ready to take off your nice shoes when we get to hit you with the pie.
Yeah, you
cream
better
on my shoes. Man.
just be warned that this is. You'll know in advance what day this is going to happen, but you better have like an extra T-shirt or something.
All right,
sure.
all right.
Or you better. Have an
You're
extra
quite
T-shirt.
confident, though.
I'm
betting on
100%
Vitality versus
confident.
G2.
You don't
Okay.
understand. I randomly predicted Origen to beat SK last week, and
he
the
did it.
stars aligned.
So you did it with
You paid Crown Shot, though.
Because
Come
Crown
on,
Shot
man.
eat into a Rost, and it was like God smiled down
It
on
wasn't
me and
even just
said,
about the eat.
"This one's for you." So I'm feeling lucky right now. I feel like I can't be touched. I'm also winning in predictions somehow, despite hard trolling on at least a few of them.
That's the hard analysis. It's the fact that Daniel Dracos is winning in predictions, so clearly he's the superior
Yeah, it
analyst.
must be divine intervention. That's what I'm saying. That's the only way I could possibly be winning. So I'm just saying it's a risk betting against me. Be aware. Final part of the day is we asked a question on Twitter about like who was the biggest surprise coming to the split. You guys have shared some of yours. I want to start with my favorite one from. Let me make sure I get this right. Casper Kobberup. Don't know if we've heard of this guy. At Kobbe says most surprising for him was Norskeren, no item level 1, and the 6-tier build surprised me the most. Upset. How'd you feel about that one? Who this Norskeren kid and his 6-tier build?
I mean, I was definitely quite a bit surprised of the no item, but the 6-tier build I've seen quite a lot, so wasn't
Also
too surprised.
disaster.
Oh no.
But yeah,
Big rip. Also, stop doing that, by the way.
Yeah, I've been told. I think I've done it a couple times.
Please, just as a reminder for every pro out there, please stop. Because when I'm like, oh, wow, Braum, what do people build on Braum? They're like, well, 9 times out of 10 they build this, but 1 time out of 10 they build 6 tiers for some reason. Messes up every stats database. But it was a game worth 6 tiers. I'm honestly just impressed you had enough gold to build 6 tiers. That was good in the end. And Kobbe clearly did not feel great about it either.
Yeah, I think it was quite sad. Nothing else to say.
hashtag top 10 bot lane.
Hashtag top 10
Top 10 in
bottom.
the LEC.
Top 5. We gave him top 5.
Okay, top
Even if
5.
you want to put him at 7, top 5.
I appreciate it.
Next up, at Gary the Carry. Look, it just has his name as Gary. Thank you, Gary. Very easy name. Schalke and Splyce surprised me most, and they're rookie mid laners. Wow, exciting.
Wait, there's a second part.
And Fnatic surprised me in a bad way, especially Bwipo. Half of these are about Fnatic. Did we save the Fnatic one for the end? Hold the Fnatic stuff. At least 50% of you came in swinging on Fnatic surprised you because World Finals to run it
These
down.
fans just come out of the woodwork. As soon as Fnatic's on the ground, they just start kicking them.
They've been waiting. They've literally been biding their time.
Where were they when they were on top of the world?
They were waiting. They were cheering. They said hashtag FNC win. Now they're just like
Hashtag
ready
always
to kick 'em.
Fnatic.
Wrecking
Yeah.
crew.
So you guys both playing with your rookie mid laners. Both of them seem to be doing pretty well.
I mean, mine's better, so.
Is that what we saw? Is
That's
that
the
what-
most intense that you've
I'm
been.
not looking there. I'm just saying.
Okay.
He doesn't need evidence.
That's okay. Wait, but so your mid laner's better and your jungle is better?
Yeah.
But you still lost, so...
I mean,
come
you
on,
know,
man, like,
inconsistency.
that's fine then.
How do you feel about Abadage? Upset?
I'm actually quite surprised how fast he's learning right now. I think he's really good mechanically, and I thought it would be like a bigger problem to have to teach someone like the game completely new. But he has been picking up the stuff we tell him quite fast, and he's really good mechanically, and he doesn't seem too nervous on stage, especially like last week. I mean, yeah, I think he's pretty good, and I'm quite happy with him right now.
And you proved you could play something other than Lissandra, which was hype.
I mean, the Lissandra's kind of my fault, I think, because I just...
He's a good Lissandra.
No,
If that's your fault, he's a really good Lissandra.
No, I mean that he plays it so much.
Yeah.
Because I really love Lissandra, obviously, because it's so OP. So
That's true.
that he has played it so much is partly my mistake, but you will see more of his carry champs. He's obviously like really good Ryze and LeBlanc too.
That's hype.
More champions in pocket picks.
You will see this weekend.
You will see.
Tune in.
Ooh.
Okay.
Look at that, setting us up. So many pocket picks promised for this weekend. And Norskeren Humanoid is a guy that's like, in your games that you've won, he has looked really good for you guys. Obviously, in the games that you've lost, he struggled a little bit in the Abadage matchup specifically, but other than that, it seems like he's been pretty solid. What is your opinion of him kind of coming into this split?
I mean, yeah, I think he's really good. He doesn't have any like problems like mentally or anything. Like he doesn't really care.
That's the thing you go to.
No, I mean like stage.
You mean like stage
I mean, like,
performance
stage
issues?
Like he literally doesn't care. Like just plays it like it's like another game. I mean, he plays well, of course, tryhards, but he doesn't really have any. He's not scared or like has a mental block against any players. And I think with experience, he'll be really good. He can be like the new kid on the block for sure.
I like it. I like that we have so many new mid laners coming in, stepping up. One guy that has struggled, we can round out to the Fnatic thing, is, of course, Nemesis. And from Kylo, Ray, Kiko,
that's rough.
Fnatic surprised me the most. It says he most, but we know you meant the most. Couldn't have ever imagined the team I love so much would be absolute dog shit for 3 weeks straight. Now, that is one of the softer worded ones.
Couldn't have ever imagined the team I loved so much.
Oh.
Absolute dog shit.
Those are the words they use. Yeah, and
That's
once
a
again,
true
that is
fan.
one of the more appropriate ones. We've talked about Fnatic a few times here, but to pose this question in a new way, if you wanted to come in and fix Fnatic and get Fnatic back on top, how would each of you approach it? Why don't we start with you, Norskeren? What do you think is like the biggest thing that needs to change for this team?
I mean, I don't really know. I think they just fall apart really easily early. And I think many other players get caught a lot, especially Whippo and Hylissang. They die a lot to like random stuff, and doesn't really feel like their mid jungle synergy is on fleek. So I don't know how they could fix that. I guess with time. I mean, it's only week 3, so I think we will for sure see if Fnatic like be a playoff contender at least. Like they have really good players.
No doubt, Fnatic. That's interesting. I'm not convinced.
I think they should call up Carlos and ask him like how much to get caps back, please. Just like anything. With
the checkbook open.
Like, like check
how much you
open
want.
and be ready to. No, I mean, I think they have to fix the bot lane synergy issues and draft differently as well, because I feel like they're losing a lot. So now they just think, we have to just go late game. Fnatic always wins late game, but the meta really doesn't allow it so much. And even if they like pick their old style, I think it's not working too well right now because teams are just better and understand how to snowball more and punish these matchups. So I think they should focus on getting like a strong jungle matchup so Broxah can like play like he used to again and pressure the map more. And I think their mid laner has been playing fine, but he's playing a bit too respectful maybe. So I would like to see some confidence back, because I feel right now it's just like they're in a losing mentality and they need to snap out of it.
Yeah, and it was definitely a struggle in their most recent game against Misfits, but we'll see how they do this week against Excel and G2. A bit of a split schedule. Excel potentially, would their owner come out and say like, oh yeah, we're really looking forward to facing Fnatic because it's probably going to be pretty easy. Or like, this is our best chance to just beat them while they're down. So that's hype. I'm excited for that one.
Put it together.
Coming up. So Schalke versus Misfits and Schalke versus OG this week. You have some hype matchups. Splyce versus Misfits and Splyce versus SK.
And Rogue.
SK and Rogue. Ooh, also hype. You guys both feel like you're headed for a 2-0 week?
For sure. After a 0-2, I want to win very much. So
We're going to get that Norskeren consistency. You're going to come out swinging.
Hashtag
You have the best, mid laner and best jungler in the league?
yeah, of course.
That's what I like to hear.
I mean, I think in theory we should win, but these games are like not super clear cut where I'm like 100% sure that we're going to win. I obviously think we're going to win, but I think we have to approach it more respectfully, because I think these teams have like something to offer, even though they have been struggling. I think they're quite good. So I hope obviously we'll go 2-0, and I think we will, but just have to see how preparation goes.
Ooh, humble upset returns. Can you do me a favor though? If you solo kill Nuke Duck at any point, can you give us the Norskeren special?
I might do it, yeah.
In honor of your time here.
I will do it.
Just do the
Actually.
Fortnite dance.
Well, definitely an interesting schedule, of course. G2 vs Vitality is the game that we have the bet on. Pie/cake to the face is the name of the game. Frostgren and I have bet on Vitality. You guys have G2. This has been episode 4 of season 3 of the EUphoria podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.